Have you ever been so upset by someone or by some situation that you doubled up on the floor, clutching your abdomen? I've had 3 of those moments I can remember clearly from the course of my life. And many times when I've felt a certain anguish in my gut, even though I managed to stay upright. Fortunately, these moments don't usually come too often, but when they do, we remember them forever. I may be puzzled as to why things I perceive and realize in my head are felt in my stomach and chest. Why doesn't my brain just analyze it and take care of it without dragging the rest of my body along? Of course, if I really think about it, I'd be asking why I can't be Mr. Spock or Lieutenant Data or one of those creatures from the outer limits with a shriveled vestigial body and an oversized luminous white cerebrum. Why can't I be one of those? Well, fact is, part of my brain descends into my gut via the 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve. It connects to every major organ, to the intestines and bowels, and to the heart, which itself is much more than just a pump, but a heart brain. And there's two-way communication along all these connections. And so when I'm reflecting deeply about something or becoming deeply involved with someone, it's not just my brain, but my gut and really my entire body all participate. Now, this has been recognized from ancient times and only recently forgotten in contemporary culture. We value objective conclusions of the mind and detached logic, and find it strange that what our minds grapple with is never done apart from the gut. But the Hebrew Scriptures, while valuing the high functioning of the mind, Solomon was given a wise and discerning mind by God. Far more is said of the heart, which includes visceral reactions, deeply held attitudes, emotional attachments and reactions, interior desires and fantasies, and the inner direction and purposes of my life. The heart. This makes me more complicated than I think sometimes, but it also creates the richness and texture of my life. I connect to you and even to God more than just mentally. Returning to Mr. Spock, something would be seriously missing were it not for his half-human genetics. But still, the closest he comes to a warm human attachment is just before his death, when he says to Captain Kirk, "Jim, you have been and will always be my friend." He was really stretching that Vulcan side, stretching it all the way down to his half-human heart. The Apostle Paul in his writings shows vividly how a transforming connection to God creates deep, heartfelt connections to others in this powerfully visceral experience. He wrote of his close attachment to believers in the city of Philippi. "How greatly I long after you all in the bowels of Jesus Christ." That's the King James Version of Philippians 1. Well, the key word is splanchna, which literally refers to the organs and intestines, but also indicates deep affection or yearning. And so the New Living Translation captures his mind and heart with these words: "God knows how much I love you and long for you with the tender compassion of Christ Jesus." His love for them is fully embodied all the way to the splanchna. He also wrote in a very delicate situation about a slave who had been in trouble and had become a Christian believer. Onesimus is the slave's name. And Paul describes him as, quote, "mine own bowels," in the King James Version of Philemon 12. "He is my very heart," the New International Version has it. Again, splanchna. It's unthinkable that I would live my life more like Spock or Data and not like Paul. The Apostle John writes of one who shutteth up his bowels of compassion. Once again, splanchna, or in more current idiom, turns a cold shoulder or closes his heart, as the Message and the Good News Translation has it. The love of God through Jesus Christ reaches my deepest visceral self, and then reaches out to others through that very heart or splanchna. It's unthinkable that it would be otherwise. Of course, that heart that gives and loves is also that heart that can be hurt. And the wounds of the heart are what have me doubled up on the floor and are not easily healed. But I want to assure you there is healing, and it's not the supposed healing of closing up the heart for business, trying to become, in a sense, heartless. It is opening it to the healing touch of God. This may be a great test of faith for those who have had wounding or breaking of the heart. But more than once it is recorded that Jesus said, "Take heart, and don't let your heart be troubled." It was more than saying words. He healed fear and pain by graciously coming heart to heart with people in their wounds. Remember how he spoke of his own heart in his great invitation, "Come to me. Come, all you who are weary and carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. I am gentle and humble in heart," he said. That's the heart he brings to me. That's the heart that heals. His heart took incalculable risks so that he might reach mine. And if I take my own risk with him, I have everything to gain. He said, "You will find rest. Rest for your souls." Now, that's another one of those words that encompasses all of me, way down deep. My soul. Through him and my yes to him, my wounded, troubled heart is healed, and it arrives at rest, and even becomes brave again. Brave enough to open a door to you. Brave enough to love.